Late last season, right before the playoffs were about to begin, the Yankees made an announcement that reliever Aroldis Chapman would be left off of the postseason roster because he didn't show up to the field for practice, feeling like he should already be on the roster and didn't need to prove himself despite having a really bad regular season. So where was Chapman? Down in Miami kicking it. So the Yankees of course told him to stay right where he was, and that would mark the end of the Aroldis Chapman era in New York, one that most Yankee fans probably look down upon. From 2017, the first year of his contract with the Yankees, through the end of the 2022 season, the last year of his contract, Chapman pitched in 284 games, recorded 133 saves, struck out over 400 hitters, all with an ERA right at 3. I mean, just looking at those numbers, why would Yankees fans hate him? He was good overall. Well, yeah, but when you look at more context of Chapman's years in pinstripes, there's a little bit different of a story that's told. And that couldn't be any more relevant to the current day and Chapman's current team. If you're part of the 70% of viewers not subscribed yet, make sure to hit that button and join the wonderful subscribers of the channel, as Aroldis Chapman was officially done in New York and off to free agency he'd go. And he'd stay there for a bit, signing late in the offseason just a few weeks before spring training, inking a one-year contract with the Kansas City Royals. It made sense for both parties. Chapman struggled with injuries while also performing poorly on the mound last year, and now needed a one-year prove-it deal to show that he's worth another multi-year contract. And the Royals are in the middle of a seemingly endless rebuild, and this just makes sense for them to sign a guy with good overall career numbers in Chapman, hoping he finds that success again so they can trade him for future young assets. And so Aroldis Chapman's short Royals career began and ended relatively quickly, but in his time in Kansas City, Chapman seemed to have found his groove back. He was back pumping up to like 104 miles an hour on his fastball. He was striking guys out. There wasn't much to not love about Chapman if you were the Royals and their fans. He only got 2 saves with the team, but that's only because he wasn't the primary closer. But by the trade deadline, as expected, plenty of teams were going to be interested in Chapman potentially becoming their closer, or at least a helpful back-end reliever. The first place Texas Rangers came calling about a month before the deadline. The Royals ended up striking a deal with them, and off to Arlington, Texas, Chapman would go. In his first 7 appearances as a Ranger, the Aroldis Chapman deal seemed like it was a slam dunk W of a trade. In those first 7 appearances, he threw 7 innings, gave up just 3 hits, no runs, while striking out 12 hitters and recording a save. The Rangers then went to Houston, and Chapman had his first implosion in a Rangers uniform, walking 2 hitters and giving up a 3-run bomb to Chas McCormick in a game the Astros went on to win, beating the Rangers. But this bad outing didn't seem to faze him. I mean, Chapman giving up home runs in Houston is nothing new, but he'd go back to God mode for the next 8 appearances, throwing 8 innings, giving up 6 hits, no runs, while striking out 17 hitters. Just straight filth. But ever since August 21st, when Chapman took the mound in Arizona against the Diamondbacks to try and record a save, things have been a disaster. The Rangers as an entire team have been having a hard time lately, and Chapman's late game meltdowns have of course not helped with making anything easier. Newly acquired starting pitcher Jordan Montgomery had just got done pitching an absolute gem for the first 8 innings for the Rangers, giving up no runs in his new team a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 9th, only for Ketel Marte to connect on a slider from Chapman to tie the game. Chapman didn't give up any runs after that and actually pitched a scoreless 10th, but the Rangers would go on to lose in 11 innings. His next outing was against the Twins in Minnesota, and although he walked someone, he also got a strikeout and didn't give up a run. But he'd go right back out there the very next day to record a save, only to blow the game. Despite striking out 3 hitters, he also walked 2 hitters and gave up a game-tying base hit in a game the Twins went on to walk off in the 13th. Update, it's only gotten worse. In a recent Rangers win against the Mets, Chapman still found a way to almost screw it up, giving a bomb to Mark Vientos in the 9th, but that was thankfully all. But in the next game, Chapman didn't give up a hit in his outing. The catch? Well, he'd load the bases up on walks and a tie game in the bottom of the 10th inning before hitting DJ Stewart with a pitch to force home a run and walk things off for the Mets. During this whole time, the Rangers have continued to lose games in the standings and are now behind the Astros and Mariners by a game in the AL West division after being in first place for most of the year. And yes, there are 162 of these things in a season, but every game matters. Chapman has played a big part in several recent losses for the Rangers, losses that very well could have been wins, should have been wins that would make the standings look a little bit different right now. It's not like the Rangers are done or anything. We have an entire month left to go, and this American League West division race is going to be fascinating. But Aroldis Chapman has been doing everything he can to help people doubt the Rangers' chances of coming out on top in that division. Chapman's tenure with the Rangers so far and how the fans likely feel about him is right on par with what his situation was with the Yankees. Good numbers, bad reputation, because when you look at some context, he's blown some big games. And Aroldis Chapman's first 2 months with Texas, he's thrown 21 innings, struck out 38 hitters, all with a 2.57 ERA. Just like his 6 years under contract with the Yankees, good numbers. He really hasn't been giving up many runs, but when he does, it's in big moments that most certainly leave a bad taste in fans' mouths. Now, this man can end up having the month of his life in September, be the most dominant reliever in baseball, and save a ton of big games for the Rangers down the stretch, helping them at least make the playoffs, if not finish ahead of Seattle and Houston to win the division. That can happen, or at least something close to it. It's not like Chapman sucks, he has powerful and nasty stuff. So it wouldn't be fair to completely judge the Texas Rangers version of Aroldis Chapman just yet. Get back to me in a month about that. But it's totally fair to say that despite the solid numbers, Chapman hasn't been helping his team enough, as he's been a big reason as to why the Rangers keep losing lately. Again, it doesn't all fall on him, but he certainly isn't helping right now. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.